Hello everyone, welcome back to FPL Without Borders. SN and I are back with our Game Week 4 team selection video in which we'll do a lot more than just Game Week 4 team selection. So let's quickly go through the agenda. It's been a long international break, so a lot has changed and a lot of new information has come up. So number one, lots of injuries to look at. So we'll go through the injury roundup. Then we'll analyze some of the data from the past 3 game weeks. So just to learn from what has happened and make our decisions accordingly. Then we'll go through the upcoming fixtures, including some of the European fixtures that are coming up for the top teams, and we'll look at some of the stats that Rob T has shared according to the market odds, and then our players and teams to target for game week 4 this game week if you're looking to make a transfer, which players and teams you should be targeting. And then our eagle's eye would be our differential pick for game week 4 captaincy and bus team. So without wasting any time, SN, do you want to walk us through the injury roundup? um, lots on the
Okay, so
list
I
here.
think, yeah, there are a lot of big names FPL wise. Saka has been ruled out according to Arteta. Palmer has just had one training session and he's yet to be passed, certainly fit. But I think the interesting thing about Palmer is that his price is locked. So,
His
like
price is
for the
locked.
next game week, his price is locked. Yeah. So those who have him, so they are not in a hurry to transfer him out based on the news Maresca gave. Mamouche has been ruled out for indefinite period. One thing of interest is that maybe Reinders becomes a more interesting pick now because Doku
Yeah.
can play on the left, he'll hold the width, and Ryan TJ can sort of play as a number 10 role. So
Also
those looking for a transfer,
Foden, Savio,
yeah,
and Doku all have been training with the team, so I think we
yeah.
might see Foden's first start of the season.
Sar Wharton injury not as bad as feared when it was given out to the press that they have picked up knocks, but still they are at least a few game weeks away from returning. Sar is the only one of interest. Ndiaye, I think, should be fine. Haven't heard anything from him as yet. And I don't think he's even flagged right now, but we'll still keep it as late as possible because he is in some teams and people are actually looking to get him also for a SAR replacement.
In the press
Isaac is not
conference,
really
they
an
said
injury. Yeah.
Ndai is a doubt for this game because he suffered a knock in the last international game.
Okay, yeah. So maybe he can be benched or transferred out. So one to watch. Isaac is not really an injury doubt. He's just a doubt for minutes because he's had only one or two training sessions with Liverpool. He played I think around 18 minutes across two international games for Sweden. So match fitness is a big doubt. So I think he's not an easy transfer in, even though a lot of people have gotten him in. Cunha, Dallo both have been ruled out by Amarin. Mount has been ruled out. Aina is a very long term, I think 2 to 3 months because he got injured whilst on international duty. Solanke also, but I think with the arrival of Kolo Muani and Richarlison already there, I think he's an easy avoid.
Yeah.
Fulkrug also a doubt, and Strand Larson is the recent one that has been ruled out, and his injury is worse than it was feared before. So I think if you have him, he's an easy sell also.
Yep. Cool. Moving on to some of the data from the last 3 game weeks, what has happened. So, some basic analysis here, but I think it opens up a lot of points for discussion. So on the left, you see all the teams sorted by their expected goal count, and some of the highlights basically are Man United. You see that Man United, although they've been poor and Amorim has gotten a lot of stuff on the internet, but they have been number 2 in terms of XG, which is kind of shocking. In terms of finishing, they have been poor. Like they've created
Yeah,
about 7 goals and they've only scored 4. But the fact that they're creating so much, and with the introduction of Sesko and Cunha will be back soon enough, I think Man United as a long term is not a bad pick from an attacking point of view. Even against City, I 100% expect Mbumo to score a goal on the counter. Um, so yeah, I think not too bad from a FPL point of view. Bruno and Mbumo, I think both are decent assets, generally speaking. Not talking about game week 4 specifically. Brighton as well, if they've created 6 goals, but they've only scored 3 as soon as if they get the finishing boots on. I think Brighton would be a team to watch, and that's probably why you also see a lot of people going for Mitoma in their wild cards. So one to watch, in my opinion. And two other teams I would like to highlight are Arsenal, are sixth in terms of seventh in terms of XG created. They've scored more than they've created, which makes sense because they had like they score from anywhere, especially on corners and set pieces. Liverpool specifically, they've created less than 4 xg. They've scored 8 goals. Obviously, a massive overperformance, but I think from a chance creation point of view, there's something there's something happening here, especially with now obviously not injury, but like rotation risk coming up with UCL as well as Ekitike, Isak, and like they have a lot of options in their attacking team. FPL wise, Liverpool I think will become a headache very soon. Anything that comes to your mind when you look at this table, lesson?
I think it's like you said, it's only 3 game weeks, a sample of only 3 game weeks, and I'm sure that over the next few weeks the numbers will correct themselves. For example, Arsenal and Liverpool. The most surprising here is Liverpool. They've scored 8 goals with an XG of less than 4, so they're like overperformed by like two times. But I think with the firepower they have, with the fixtures they have, I think the XG and the actual goal scored might be close, or actual goal scored will be, with the same difference or same gap that it is now. So I still think that it's a little too early for the XG and XDC to be in like full flow right now. But I think because form, fixtures, all of these need at least a 5, 6, 7 window. And immediately after 3 game weeks, we had the international break, we had the injuries. So like the proper FPL flow has not yet been like I would say set into motion. But
Yeah,
I think it's just very important to stick to your premium, stick to your typical FPL assets, and then you can maybe sort of start to branch out when you consider your free hit or your wildcard to actually go
yeah.
into more detail and take this data into account.
The point about momentum is so important, and I don't see momentum like teams getting momentum because as soon as we start game week 4, we have UCL break in the middle, then we'll get
Yeah,
injuries and players will be rotated, and
yeah,
then a couple of game weeks later we have an international break coming up again. So um, I wish there were
it is
no breaks.
frustrating.
From an XGC point of view, we see like the best defenses. Uh, from a data point of view, Newcastle and Arsenal come out on top. Newcastle is, I think, one team that everyone sort of blinded. Like nobody's went that way because all the transfer issues they were happening probably. But from a defensive point of view, I think they are still a solid defense to invest in. Arsenal, like there's no questions. They Arsenal and Chelsea both have been great. I've had Sanchez in goalkeeper and I've gotten to at least 2 clean sheets. So happy with that. Sunderland,
Yeah,
one to look out for. People went for Vanderberg in their
Vanderberg. Yeah, Sepp
yes
Vanderberg.
defending option. Like I think it's a solid option, and people on a wild card, I might go in that direction. So yeah, nothing else to sort of shout out here, but Newcastle and Sunderland, I think, are ones to watch from a defensive point of view. Top 10 players by expected points in the last 3 game weeks. Um, which player, like looking at this, and which player like is more of a shocker for you? Like how are they in the top 5? Obviously,
I'm
again,
thinking,
small sample size, especially Califury. I think that he had
yeah,
one great game, but generally speaking,
I'm surprised Salah is not here. Yeah,
Salah is
I'm
not in
surprised
the
Salah
top.
is
I
here.
think Salah was like 17th or something.
So yeah, I'm
And then
surprised of his absence. Calafiori and Timber both had those one-off games. I think Timber had that insane game where he hauled. I think, but that again, that doesn't really
yeah,
happen that often. So Brooks
agreed.
is a very nice. I think Anthony is, yeah, the Burnley player.
Yeah,
Bruno, I know he missed that penalty, but he's there for the DefCon points. He's there for the bonus. So I think he's Enzo. Even though he's not a premium mid, he has been performing very well. And in Palmer's absence, he was on penalties also, as we saw in that game. And Haaland, Haaland is maybe proving to be the better asset long term as compared to Salah because of
Yeah.
Isak's arrival. So we'll get that into it later. But yeah, Haaland,
Yeah.
no surprise. Yeah, he's at the
I
top.
think Bruno is like the biggest surprise for me at number three. I mean, I've had him because of these reasons, but the fact that even with his deeper role, he is putting up so many points, expected points,
Yes.
is I think he is one of the best midfielders in the game at the moment, especially with Cole Palmer out. Top 10 players by DefCon per 90. So not a lot of players putting up 12 CBIT like DefCon per game. The top ones, I think everyone knows, like Virgil, Senesi,
Yeah.
Tarkowski, Lacroix. They have been like DefCon monsters, as you say. And then Vanderberg from Sunderland, as we discussed, he is right at 12 as well. So a solid option if you want to just get someone and like put it in the team. He can play any fixture, to be honest, in my opinion, if you have an injury. But yeah, apart from that, Saliba is down at 30, 14 or
Yeah.
15. Arsenal overall not racking up a lot of DEFCON. So if you're going for an Arsenal defender, I would say it's mostly if you're backing the clean sheets rather than for DEFCONs.
DefCon, yeah, agreed.
All right. Essen, do you want to walk us through the fixtures that are coming up? This is the Lego Mane fixture chart, which takes into account not just the FPL fixtures, but
European fixtures
also
also.
yeah, the
Yeah.
European fixtures and international breaks. So yeah,
Yeah, so I think this is like we had very three peaceful weeks. First 3 weeks that you had a Friday or a Saturday deadline, then you had one whole week to plan out your team news, etc. But now European fixtures, the fixture congestion is starting to take into account. You'll see rotation of your premium assets, of your differential assets. So now it's important to be very careful with your transfers because you will need your bench strength. You can't expect all your players to play 90 minutes because you have European fixtures. So I think Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Chelsea all have good fixtures this week, but they play very heavy teams in the European. Liverpool have Atletico, uh, City plays Napoli, Chelsea plays Bayern, Newcastle play. I think that's Barcelona, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
Barcelona, yes,
Yeah. So it's very very important now to make sure that if you are making a transfer, make sure that it is as nailed as possible an asset to consider rather than going for differentials, or you can just take another route and go for teams that are not in Europe
yeah.
and stick to their asset. But then again, you can't really expect them to give you points game week every game week. So it's important to hold those premium assets, those nail assets, but at the same time keep an eye out on fixtures because especially with teams like Liverpool, City, they have maybe 7, 8 attackers for those 5, 6 midfield and forward spots. So if, for example, I remember Mahrez was a prime example that if he was starting a UCL game on a Tuesday or Wednesday, we knew for sure that he would be benched on either Friday, Saturday,
Yeah,
or Sunday. So this pattern will develop as the course of those games goes on. But for now, I think assets are generally safe, but you should keep an eye out on the fixtures.
there's so many midweek games. Like there's 7 games in the span of what, like a month. Um,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
yeah, it's like I would write again. Like these are the best teams, so how would you avoid players from these teams? But it's a difficult period coming up.
Yeah. It
Defensive
is
wise,
no
I
doubt.
think like you can easily go with 4.5 options from teams not in
Yeah.
Europe. Might be a safer like safe DefCon picks that you can hold for like 5-10 weeks. Easy.
Yeah. Easily.
Cool. Anything else to point out here? Should we move ahead?
No, I think we'll just take it game week by game week. This is
Good.
like gives a good holistic picture
Yeah.
of as to how to plan your transfers. Okay, obviously there we've sort of cherry picked out some of the fixtures that you should target. You either you would have assets of those teams or you would want to use your transfers to get those assets. Nottingham Forest have been in the news for all the wrong and right reasons. Postecoglou is back. We know how attacking he plays with high line. People had double defense cells plus either one of Murillo or Milinkovic. So maybe now it's time to either consider their attackers, like if you have Wood, if you have Adoy, if you have Gibbs White, or maybe just give their defenders a few more game weeks, because I think after this they have very good fixtures, at least two good fixtures. So I think the Arsenal game would be a good litmus test as to either how defensive or how attacking Postecoglou wants his team to play. If you have your Arsenal assets, please, they are playing at home. You should start all of them, because Forest did concede 3 goals from West Ham, which all of us did not expect at all. People had triple Forest, I had double Forest, and ended up with nothing. So Crystal Palace versus Sunderland, I think only Mateta plus their defenders, if you have them, are the ones to target for this fixture, because Sarr is injured, Eze is gone. So if you have Mateta, if you want to bring him in, I think Palace have a mixed bag of fixtures, but the next two are very good. So if you want to bring in a defender, if you're willing to move out a Nottingham Forest defender, you can get maybe the likes of Richards or Gehi or Munoz or Lacroix. Newcastle versus Wolves. Newcastle will be without Gordon. They will be without Wissa. So I think their news signing Wolt, I'm not sure how to pronounce him, but I think he can be a differential if you wish to go for him. Their defense is very good. You can go with Fabian Schär. He has the attacking threat plus DefCon, and he's I think around the 5 million mark also. We are, like I said, backing Newcastle to keep a clean sheet, and if there are any DefCon points, those are always a bonus. Chelsea versus Brentford. Brentford have been Chelsea's bogey team for the last few seasons, but Brentford are without their core structure. There's no Mbomo, there's no Wissa, there's no Norgard, there's no Thomas Frank. They have gotten Otara in, but that's I think the only addition they have done. So if you have Chelsea assets, if you're willing to bring them in, I think this is another good fixture to target. Lastly, I think this is the fixture of the week where captaincy is, I think, a very easy pick. Start all your Liverpool players. I know that people are hesitant to bring in Liverpool players because of the fact that we discussed earlier that they have 6 spots to fill, and they have at least 8 or 9 attacking players to occupy the spots. For example, if you take out Soboslai, you take out Salah, so you're left with 6 or 7 players for those 4 spots. So competition is fierce. But if you are willing to target this fixture, for example, if Arsalan is dead ending his team into game week 5 because he wants to wildcard, he can get Gakpo, he can get Ekitike. Not a bad shout. But if you
That's
are,
my
if
question.
you,
That's my exact concern. So should I go for,
yeah,
let's say, Mateta was playing Sunderland, but they don't have Sarr and Wharton, so who will be the creative outlet? Or should I go with like Gakpo? Gakpo seems to me the safest option, considering if Isak doesn't start, then if Isak is subbed in at like say 60 minutes, I would assume he would be subbed in for Ekitike. But again, they have Atletico Madrid coming up next week, so I wouldn't be shocked if they're like 2-3 up down through 2-3 goals up, and then we see like mass rotation in the team. So what do you think? Or should I go
I
like
think
a separate option? I could go like Arsenal winger, for example, Madueke, because most of their attackers are out anyways, or a Newcastle punt on Barnes or someone like that.
yeah, I would suggest you would go for the Liverpool game. For example, even if it's like by halftime it's 3-0 or 4-0, you would want your pick to be involved. It's like, for example, if Gakpo, Salah, or Ekitike are involved, even if they subbed up around the 55-60 minute mark, that's not a bad shout if you have an attacking return, for example, an assist or a goal. It can be more. You've seen how sometimes in Liverpool just go absolutely bonkers and score 3, 4, 5 goals. No disrespect to Burnley, but they are without Trafford, and this is the Premier League. So you can get him in, and if especially if you're going for a wild card in game week 5 or 6, so you can go for. I would personally suggest to go for a Liverpool attacker as opposed to an Arsenal player, because they have the easier fixture, and Arsenal are yet to have that attacking identity that they had a few seasons ago, where they would just try and outscore their teams. So I
Yeah.
think Liverpool player is an easier choice.
So would you go Gakpo or Ekitike? What do you
I
think?
honestly have Gakpo and Salah from the start, but if I was, for example, if I were to move for a striker, I would probably get Ekitike.
I mean, I can also get a midfielder. Like spot is not an issue for me. It's like what's the best pick? If I was buying now, I can get both Gakpo or Ekitike. It's not a problem. But I can
I
sell
think
Sar for the Gakpo, or I could sell Gui for Mateta or Ekitike. Like that's not a problem.
I think maybe you can get Ekitike because he is the attacker. He is a focal point. You can expect him to be on the end of those counters or end of those crosses. So, and he is, I think, I'm not sure if you were priced out of it or not because he has risen to
8.
8.3 or 8.8 now.
Yeah,
8.8, yeah.
8.8. Yeah. Yeah, no, price again is not an issue. The only issue with Ekitike for me is if Isak subs in, he will come for Ekitike most probably. But again, we're all guessing at this point.
Yeah, it's all guesswork. Gakpo might be subbed out. Ekitike can go to the left, and Isak
Yeah,
can, hold the number 9 spot. So you never know.
yeah, yeah.
But like 60-65 minutes for both, I think is good enough against Burnley.
Agreed. Agreed. All right. Looking at game week 4 points projection, this data is from Solio Analytics. So the top 4 teams for this week are, as we discussed, Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Man City. Even though Man City playing against United, we do expect a high scoring game. So yeah, as we again like nothing to shout out here at Liverpool. If you have Liverpool assets, obviously start all of them. Arsenal is again. I think this definitely takes into account the fact that Ange is the manager now, so the projected points are high. But considering FPL wise, nobody has anyone. We have Gyökeres in on a thumbnail, and that is definitely if you have a striker spot to look out for, Gyökeres might be the best option, assuming considering he's on penalties as well as playing for a good side. And Eze would increase their creative outlet as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
Newcastle, the only issue with them is they don't have a confirmed striker, although they've signed two. I think in the press conference, he did mention Visa is maybe not ready to start. He has some
Yeah.
knocks from the international break as well. So that again, like I don't know where to go if we go Newcastle, right? Anything else that comes on top of your mind looking at this data?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Like we've discussed the teams to target, we've discussed the fixtures, and it's
Yeah.
better to just stick to those for sure short assets and leave the differentials for a few more weeks.
All right. Chip planning, my favorite topic this week. So
Yeah.
before, like even we talk about Wildcard, like Liverpool is playing Burnley at home. Do you not think it's a Salah triple captain fixture?
I honestly, I haven't been convinced with Salah's involvement. Yeah, so I'm not really going to risk the trip, even though it's available for 2 times in a season now. But I've not seen enough from Salah to merit a triple captain. Like you remember last year, I used it on Haaland in Game Week 2, Ipswich at home.
Yeah,
But that was the week because I think the first week Haaland had scored a brace or a hat trick. So I had that form and some backing. But Salah has been a very hit and miss. Both of his attacking returns in the first 2 game weeks came in the very dying minutes of the game.
yeah.
So I'm not really convinced.
And like the fact that he's not even in the top 10 players by expected
Exactly.
points,
Yeah, yeah, makes
um,
sense. Makes
completely
sense.
agree. Good stuff. All right, wildcard window. So why are we discussing wildcard right now? Wildcard, in my opinion, there are two wildcard windows right now. One is around your game week 6 mark, and then one is around game week 13. And why I say that is, oh, I had a fix. Okay, why I say that is from game week 6, you see the top 4 teams looking at a 15-week horizon. So if you see this chart, the top 4 teams that come up in terms of expected goals are Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Like no shockers here. But the only problem with these teams is isn't that we don't have players from these teams. So if you like from game week 6, Man City has Burnley, Brentford, and then Everton at home. The point being is top 4 teams that have the best fixtures from game week 6 till game week 15. We don't have many of them in our teams. Like from Liverpool, you have Salah and Gakpo, so that's a good coverage, I think. Man City, most people don't have anyone apart from the 50% people who have Haaland. Arsenal as well, like people barely have Arsenal players. Some defenders, maybe you will find defenders in Raya in the team, but not more than that. And then Chelsea, Palmer is out, and on JP is the only player that's really a Chelsea pick right now. But from game week 6, so what changes is obviously the fixtures for all these teams kind of change in a way that you they become the best teams. And then if you don't have them, you need a lot of transfers to bring those players in. And if you want to bring Haaland in, and if you also want Salah, or even like no Salah, you can go for Isak or Ekitike. Need a lot of transfers. Is basically the point.
Yeah.
So that's the game week wildcard window I'm looking at, and why I put game week. So these fixtures change from game week 6, not from game week 5. From game week 5, the fixtures aren't amazing because in game week 5, Arsenal and Man City play each other. But
Yes.
why I might go for game week 5 wildcard myself is um, Man City, Burnley at home. I might want to triple captain Haaland. So if I want to play my triple captainship in game week 6 at Burnley at home, which I think should be a very easy fixture for City, and by that time some injuries might also people from injuries will also be coming back. I think game week 6 from triple captaincy looks very good, and then for which I will have to wildcard in game week 5, which is not
Game
ideal. I
5,
would
yeah.
have Yeah. So what do you think about this wildcard strategy, number one?
Yeah, I think we were discussing also that 5 or 6 can either be like a wild card or free hit window because there are some good fixtures you can target. But if you're looking to play your triple captain in game week 6, and then you would need Haaland and you can't get him without a wild card or maybe like a -4 or -8. So I think that's a good window to target because if you're doing it in game week 5, you'll have another 6 or 7 game weeks to target, and then you can save your transfers. And if you need, you can just like do a mini wildcard later on again for like a -4, like save 2, 3, 4 transfers, and then just depending on injuries and rotation risks. But I think
Yeah.
it's a good window to target.
Okay. All right. I think the main decision is from game week 6, do you want Haaland in your team or not? Like people who want Haaland, it's not easy to get Haaland apart from either wildcarding or using a free hit in game week 6. Because in game week, like right now, Haaland's ownership is 54%, and by game week 6, I'm very sure it will increase not just his price but also his ownership. And if you decide to go
Yeah,
against
no,
Ireland in game week 6, I think it will be a very difficult watch. So if that's a decision you're taking, that's fine. But then plan a chip in game week 6 is my recommendation. Like if you plan to go against Haaland in game week 7 or 8, I think it's understandable, it's doable. But I think 6, you either have him in your team or free hit or wild card. That would be my recommendation.
yeah, makes sense.
And I think apart from game week 6 free hit, I think generally is very vibes based this season because we have a lot of chips and a lot of transfers. So whenever you feel like your team is not as great this week and your team is the template, so you can free hit go against the template and target players that have really good fixtures that most people won't have. And I think free hit generally is pretty open this season in my opinion. A
Yeah,
couple of stats. uh, in terms of Salah versus Haaland decision. So Haaland's goal share in Man City's team is 74%, right? So when you look at the fact that Man City are expected to score the most goals in the next 15 weeks from game week 6, and Haaland's goal share is 74%, you would expect Haaland to score most of the goal involvement would be more than most players. While in terms of in the case of Arsenal and Liverpool, let's look at Liverpool first. So Liverpool, in terms of expected goal involvement, Ekitike has had should have had 42% goal involvement, and then Gakpo, Words, and then fourth is Salah, and this is without having Sabozlai or Isak. Sabozlai is down the list, by the way, and if you add Isak to the mix, um, we don't know how this goal share would change. I think that's my biggest concern with Liverpool right now. So maybe this week, game week 4, I think is very important in terms of understanding what the team might look like. Again, you won't really get you won't know as retention would be an issue with European fixtures, but you at least need one more game week data to know like Isak comes in for Gakpo or Isak comes in for Ekitike, and how does the shape change when 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 he comes in. And in terms of Arsenal as well, the goal share is very divided. Obviously, Gyökeres, and then Calafiori. We can ignore these two, I think. But overall, Saka being out, the goal share is divided. So in terms of the premium conversation, I do think Haaland becomes an obvious choice considering they are expected to score the most goals, and he also is involved in most of Man City's goals. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, what? How do you read? What's your analysis? What's your reaction to this?
Yeah, I think having Haaland in the last few seasons, we know that if there is a City goal, there's like 74%, I think is a very fair depiction that more often than not, Haaland will be involved with a goal or an assist. With Liverpool, with Arsenal, we've always known that the goals have been shared. Salah has been a focal point, no doubt, but given the fact that their firepower is like unmatchable at the moment, goals will be shared. So knowing that, if I still remember that Bournemouth game 8-0, Salah had nothing. So that that has I hope there's nothing more like that, especially when we captain him. But I think this just goes to show that the Haaland's price might be justified just because of the fact that he's heavily involved in the goals Man City scored. So if you are looking to own him, whether in a wildcard or even for like a -4, he will pay it back sooner rather than later. And he is a good captaincy shout for the next few weeks also.
In Salah used to have like 54, 60% goal involvement share, and we that's why we've always had Salah in our teams. But with the new structure, at least in the small sample size of 3 weeks, we do see him down the list. All right, that is for chip planning. Game week 4 Eagles ISN.
Okay, so we're now on our Eagle's Eye section where we try and find out some few differentials. So I think Barnes, we spoke about earlier that Newcastle have a decent set of fixtures and they're starting to like take shape, take form into how they will play without, Isak this turn. So Barnes can be a good shout. He has that hopefully that, and with Gordon out also, he has that left wing spot nailed. And Simmons is an interesting one because he I think
Newcastle, like
directly
just to
comes
add to
into the
your
team
point,
in place of Madison. Yeah.
Newcastle are top three in terms of expected goals in game week 4 according to the market odds. So Barnes, it does make sense because there's no Gordon, there's no confirmed striker either.
Okay, and Simmons obviously I think is a direct replacement for Madison, and I'm sure he'll make the team tick if he plays as the cam. So he's also a very good shot, and I think Spurs really have good long term fixtures also. So I think these two picks are ones to watch.
Makes sense. For me, like I honestly this week I there's not too many obvious, very obvious good attacking picks. Obviously Liverpool is the team to target, and I'm looking at a 1 week punt, and I think Gakpo should probably be the best option. I haven't finalized it, but I think like even if he plays 60 minutes, I think he will get 1 to 2 returns. So I'm hoping for that to happen. And yeah, so I don't really have many more, and especially because I'm trying to hit the wild card as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, moving on to captaincy this week again. Captaincy, I think there's no debate. um,
Yeah, I think
Salah at home, Burnley, no debate. Although like market predicts Haaland to score more goals, but you can't really go against Salah in this one, can you?
yeah, I think naturally people would have Salah more than they have Haaland, so he becomes a very obvious choice. But if you have Haaland plays at home, Salah plays away, so it can be a bit of a split. But I think easier fixture would be Salah, and the fact that Liverpool are just all out attack. So I think
Yeah,
should not this is not the week to go against both of them, even though there are decent options like there's Mateta, there's Semenyo, I think who plays Brighton. Yorkers is playing the Nottingham Forest at home, but I think it should be between Salah and Haaland only. Just keep it simple, not overthink.
agreed. Totally agreed. Haaland, by the way, scored 5 goals over the weekend, over the week.
Yeah, 5 goals, 2 assists, so that's crazy.
And in even the last penalty, he gave it to the other player from his team, or there,
Yeah,
otherwise
yeah.
it could
To
have been
assist
six
so
plus
that he
two.
can do his hat trick. Otherwise, minimum 6 goals. That's crazy.
All right, game week 4
Okay,
bus team.
Aslan,
SN.
we'll go with yours because you actually have a plan. I don't have a plan, so I don't have any transfers listed
Let's go.
because it's
Let's
still
go.
confusing. But I think
So,
the Ndiaye is now flagged, so I might move him out. I was actually going for trying to get Simmons in. If I maybe get some more news from some Twitter forums of Spurs that he can actually start the game because actually considering going for Simmons, like I said, because uh, NDI has been flagged now, and Everton's fixtures do get tougher now. So I think he was obviously a shout out for the first three, maximum 4 weeks only. So I can go for Simmons, and if because I already have double Liverpool, and I just got Gibbs White, so I'm not moving him out. Um, Maybe I'll just do the NDI transfer only and save the other one because you have European fixtures now, and injury chances, rotation chances are there. So what about you, Arsalan?
like for you, I can and I think is just a 1 week miss. So if you feel fine playing Konza instead of Ndai, I think you can save the transfer to be honest. And next week have more data and you can make a better informed decision. Konza against Everton should be fine. Everton, I don't know. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I can bench him. Uh, yeah, you're actually right. I can bench Ndai and play Konsa. Yeah, he did score for England in the international break also. And I, with the fact that they have um, Elliot now, they have Sancho, they might be a bit of a more rejuvenated team. So
Yeah.
Triple Villa might not be a bad shout. I'll probably decide tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay. Cool. For me, the team is in front of you. Sanchez in goal, Porro, Milinkovic, Anderson, Salah, Bruno, Rogers, Anderson, Sar, JP, and Richarlison. Why I why I came up with the wildcard 5 strategy was my team is technically okay, but the problem is the bench that you see. So Estev is okay again. Estev is fine. Dorgu has lost his place in United's team. Gui is nowhere to be seen in on the pitch. Sar is obviously injured. Anderson is not the same asset after Nuno Espirito Santos left. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And what the issue now is, as we saw from game week 6, we have a fixture swing in terms of Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Arsenal have the best fixtures, and I only have Salah and JP from those 4 teams, which and Sanchez as well, which makes me question my team a lot. And for a longer term horizon, I don't love the team. So hence I'm going with the wildcard 5 strategy. Um, my locks in my wildcard would be Haaland and Bruno and Cucurella. I'll probably do a wildcard video actually, considering I have done a lot of research on that. So people who are looking to wildcard in 5 to 6, stay tuned for that. For this
yeah,
week, which what becomes my dilemma is I have one free transfer, so I can either roll my free transfer, but that would mean I play one of Esteve or Dorgu, which is very suboptimal. Um,
yeah. I think you should use
and
your transfer and
yeah,
get and attack that Burnley game. So you can get Gakpo, or if you want, you can go for with Semenyo. You can still keep him on your wild card if you want because I think Bournemouth's fixtures are pretty decent also.
yeah. So yeah, I might just go with Gakpo or Mateta. Semenyo, I don't know. He actually is a good shout. He's been in my Eagle's eye as well, but for 1 week only, I think Burnley looks like a peach of a
Yeah, better
fixture,
fixture.
or Sunderland. So I'll probably go with one of that and then hit wildcard right after the game week deadline. That's the plan.
Sounds good.
All right. I think that's pretty much it for game week 4 team selection and a lot. We've discussed much more than team selection. So if you've seen the video by now, please drop a like and a subscribe. We would appreciate that. And good luck with your game week 4.
Okay, guys, good luck.
See you next week.